Hey everybody, this is D Hunter, bringing another action figure review. Today, we're going to be looking at the Hasbro Marvel Legends Spider-Man Homecoming Ned Leeds and Peter Parker 2-pack. I've been excited for the pack for a long time, as I'm a huge sucker for civilian characters. And these guys here, they're high school teenagers. They will be perfect background characters, civilians, citizens, hostages, you name it. Classmates of some of my existing figures. In addition to that, Ned Leeds and Peter Parker from Spider-Man. I mean, how can you go wrong? I got this thing at Target. I had my Amazon order, and I got an email saying it was going to be arriving early. And then I had another email saying it was going to be about 6 weeks later. I don't know what's going on over there, but I'm happy to have found it. So let's take a look at the packaging. As you can see at the top, Ned Leeds, Peter Parker, Marvel Legends series, Marvel Spider-Man Homecoming, ages 4+ by Hasbro. One side of the package, got the two of them. Other side, sort of a drawing of Spider-Man. At the back, here are the two figures. Here are their accessories. Even has a Spider-Man mask for Ned, although I bet you can put on either one of the figures. At the bottom, got a bunch of credits, and there is a barcode, in case that helps anybody. So without further ado, let's open them up. Alright, now that we got these figures out of the package, here they are with all their accessories laid out. Ned over here comes with a backpack, an alternate head, and then Peter Parker comes with two alternate hands, totaling 4 interchangeable hands, 2 heads, a book, and a removable backpack. Before we check out the accessories, let's talk about and check out the actual figures. So in front of you, on the left, we have Ned Leeds. He's played by Jacob Italian. And then we've got Peter Parker on the right, played by Holland. So let's take a look at him. Ned here, he's got Spider-Man's mask on originally, although I'm definitely going to be using him with the civilian head. Head seems a little big, as this guy is kind of a chunky guy. Curious if this head's going to work on Peter Parker. We will check that out shortly. Spider-Man head looks good. It's got the sculpted lines, the big eyes. He's got a striped shirt on here. Open shirt on top, got a wristwatch, looks like single jointed elbows, double jointed knees, pretty short, pretty chunky, just a regular guy, and I think that's pretty cool. And then of course we have Peter Parker. The likeness is pretty darn good. He's got a sweater on, you can see sort of flannel shirt underneath there. Even sticking out a little bit at the bottom there. Double jointed elbows, double jointed knees, backpack, sneakers. Good looking figure, good looking civilians. Pretty unique set. And then, here are the figures broken down as far as they can go, with all of their removable parts detached. In this video, we're going to take a look at each of the figures individually. We'll check out their accessories, height, and articulation. And then we'll compare them with a bunch of other action figures from different various companies. So let's start off by checking out Ned. So here's Ned Leeds. Now keep in mind, these figures are based off the first Tom Holland Spider-Man film, so they're a little bit younger than they are in the later films. Let's take a really quick look. Start with his face here. It also looks good. Likeness is pretty decent. Hair parted in the middle. He's got the sort of darker skin. It's a chunky young figure. This is definitely a new buck from Marvel Legends, which is something to celebrate. They don't do that too often. Good looking figure. Civilian clothing, baggy pants, big shirt, big belly. I like the figure. And just a closer look at his face and head sculpt. Really liking this set so far. I would say it's not necessary if you're not a civilian collector, if you just get the superheroes and whatnot. But boy, this is right up my alley. And then, here's the figure broken down as far as he can go, with all of his removable parts detached. I noticed his hands popped out with complete ease. He doesn't have any alternate hands, so it kind of makes you wonder, was he originally supposed to come with alternate hands? Did they make it like this because they're planning to reuse his body? I don't see any Marvel character they could possibly reuse his body for. Now let's check out his accessories, and we'll start off with his heads. Ned has two heads. One's his unmasked normal head, and one's his head with a Spider-Man mask. Here's a look at his unmasked head. This is the actual Ned head that goes with his body. And here's his alternate head with a Spider-Man mask. Now let's look at his backpack. His backpack, it's camo colors, two straps made of sort of a rubbery, bendable material. That's about it. You can see some sculpted pockets and zippers in the front. Here he is, with his backpack on. Now they've taken a pretty good look at both the figure and his accessories. Now let's check out his height. From bottom to the top of his head, staying at about 5.9 inches tall, which can translate to about 15 centimeters. Now let's look at his articulation. Starting with his head here. Of course, it can rotate from side to side. You can look up about that far, down about that far. Not bad. Can't really tilt his head much from side to side. Shoulders on a ball joint. Goes up about 90 degrees. Up, down, around, all that good stuff. Single jointed elbow. Don't even go in 90 degrees. Pretty close though, with rotation. Wrist. Rotate. And it's going to be hinged as well. Torso seems to be one solid piece. Ball joint his waist, rotate around. I'm really getting forward and back range from his hips here. Legs, they go about this far. Ball joints. Forward, about that much. And back, not at all. He's got a thigh cut. Double jointed knees. Then his ankle here. Forward and back, just a little bit. Tilt, rock, and rotate. Now it's like a Peter Parker. Pretty small, pretty thin. He's got that young Tom Holloway face. Khaki pants, green sweater, good looking figure. And then here he is, with all of his removable parts detached. Now let's look at his accessories. And let's start off with his hands. Here are his hands. He has 4 of them. 2 pair. Here he is with his first pair of hands. These are his fists. And here he is with his other pair of hands. These are some open hands, relaxed hands. They would look good and natural at his sides. Now let's look at his heads. He has 2 of them. One with a more normal expression, and one with a happier, smiling expression. Here he is with his first head. This one has the more normal, regular expression. This will be my default head for him. And here's his second head, with a smiling expression. Here's his book. Pretty plain. It's got a brown cover. It doesn't open. Not even an attempt at some letters on it. Here's Peter holding his book. I didn't think it was going to fit into those hands, but it works pretty well. I thought it would just fall right out. Here's his backpack. Made in sort of a light brown or khaki color. You can see the pouches and the zippers. Just like Ned's, it's got the sort of bendable straps. So I was curious if the Spider-Man head that goes to Ned would work on Peter Parker. And technically it does. But the peg is a very different size. It's super loose. It'll fall right off. Now let's check out his height. Similar to Ned. From bottom to top, he's about 6.0, maybe 6.1 inches tall, which is going to translate to about 15 centimeters. And now for his articulation. Start with his head. Rotates from side to side. Looks up about that far, down about that far, quite a bit more than Ned. And this guy can definitely tilt his head from one side to the other. Shoulders on a ball joint. Good 90 degrees, up, down, around, all that good stuff. Bicep cut. Double jointed elbows. Wrist can rotate and is hinged. He's got ball joint in his torso, rotate around, forward and back. His waist, I mean, it's not connected, but God, I just cannot move the thing at all. Legs, goes up about this far. Ball joints. Forward all the way, back, not at all. Thigh cut. Double jointed knees. Then his ankles. Forward and back. Rotation, tilt, rock. Here's Ned and Peter. They're just getting out of class, getting up out of their seats, heading to the hallway. Now let's check them out next to some other action figures. I don't really have any specific figures that I want to compare Ned to by himself. But Peter Parker, a couple. Here's this Tom Holland Hasbro Peter Parker. Next to an older Toy Biz Tobey Maguire Peter Parker. Figures have come a long way since then. Then, next to a Hasbro animated Peter Parker. And here he is, next to an older Toy Biz Tobey Maguire movie Spider-Man figure. Size-wise, he actually works pretty good for a Tom Holland in the costume. Here's Peter next to a NECA Nathan Drake from Uncharted. Sure, it's not the movie version, but Tom Holland played him in a recent film. Here are both these figures next to a J. Jonah Jameson figure. These are all three of the civilians from the new Spider-Man films. And I guess you could also count Happy Hogan. Now let's check him out next to some more Spider-Man related civilian type characters. Here he is with 4 different versions of J. Jonah Jameson from the films, comics, and the cartoon. And here they are, next to a bunch of different Mary Jane figures from the films, comics, cartoons. Then, next to Gwen Stacy. And although he wasn't in any of the new Spider-Man films, here they are, next to Stan Lee from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Rest in peace. Here they are, next to some other Hasbro Marvel Legends figures that look like they could be students. These are the Stepford Cuckoos figures. Look like 3 different schoolgirls. I can see Ned and Peter Parker chasing after these girls. Now let's check them out, next to some action figures from different various companies, to see how they fit in, both scale and style-wise, in case you want to know which lines you can mix them with. Since they're Marvel Legends figures, they're typically the 6-inch scale. I'm going to start off my comparisons with some of the smaller action figure lines I collect, and work my way larger. But first, let's check them out next to some of their Marvel Legends brothers. Here they are, next to 4 other Marvel Legends figures, all from different various Marvel cinematic properties. Then, with some more Marvel Legends figures. These are from the comics and the cartoons. Here are the 2 of them, next to some older Toy Biz Marvel Legends figures. And now, here they are, with some Jazz Wars Fortnite figures. And here they are, next to some SH Figure Arts action figures. And with some Mafex figures. Then, next to some Mattel, DC Universe Classics, and Multiverse figures. And here they are, next to some Mezco 112 collective figures. And now, next to some Jazzwares AEW wrestlers. Then, with some Mattel wrestling figures. And here they are, standing with some NECA figures. Then, with some DC Direct and DC Collectibles figures. And here they are, next to some McFarlane toys. Then, next to some DST or Diamond Select toys. And finally, next to some Jack-specific wrestling figures. So overall, these are some really nice figures. Really unique. I love civilian and superheroes that are out of their costume. I actually think Ned is the better of the 2 figures. Peter Parker just seems a little too small, a little too skinny. The guy's accessories, they're cool, but I wish they came with some more and better stuff. Articulation, it's definitely some limitations on both these figures, more so on Ned. Sculpt and paint job are excellent, no issues there. If I were to rate these figures, I'm going to give this set a 7 out of 10. Really curious what future figures Hasbro might use these base body bucks for. Can't think of a lot of options. So this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you liked the video, press like below. If you have anything you want to say with the video, add to the comment section. If you want to see additional action figure reviews from me, press subscribe. I do appreciate when you do that. Once again, this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I will talk to you guys real soon.